guys? Welcome to another episode of the Barbells for Banter podcast. I'm Colin Sully, and I'm joined today by the awesome Samantha Anderson. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, whereabouts in Canada are you streaming this from now? Because I assume I can see daylight coming through your window. It's dark here.
Yeah, I'm in Alberta, Canada, and it is 1:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's lovely. I usually ask what the weather's like, but I have a lot of guests from Canada, and it's never always pleasant. But it is summer still.
It is summer. It's has been really warm out, but today has been overcast, so I don't know what that's all about. What's the weather like where you're at right now?
Yeah, same. We've just had the back end of that hurricane that's come across so it's the tail end. We've just had. We haven't been affected by it, but it's been a windy, rainy day as a result of the tail end there. So.
Oh wow.
So thanks for joining me today, Samantha. So, tell me a little bit about SKFitness and sort of we'll get into the good stuff, because the main thing I want to sort of discuss here, because I'm streaming live in my group as well, is adapting fitness around motherhood, because I think we both work with the same demographic of people, and it's definitely the type of demographic I love to work with. And something you have personal experience with recently now, which is being a new mum, which is a lot of people. My audience are going to be perking their ears up for this, because that's basically them. So just tell me a little bit about how you got into fitness, though.
Yeah, so how I got into fitness, I've always been super active. And it was honestly, my life there's been just random flukes how it works out. I was going to school for physio and occupational therapy assistant. And my roommate was like, hey, do you want to take this personal training course with me? I'm like, sure, sounds cool. Literally, for the certification, that was it. There wasn't really anything, but thinking back on it, I would say, hey, want to come to the gym with me? I'm working out. Or I got groups of people together after school in high school. We worked out in my math teacher's classroom. So I always did it without even realizing I was doing it. So that's a little bit of how I got into fitness. And then obviously after having my daughter, things has not really taken a turn, but more I've adapted a little bit differently, and I really live the everyday life of a busy, active mom.
Yeah, it does tend to fall like that. I found the same. I've said this before when I've had guests on, and I know it sounds really cliche and corny, but I've always said that a career in fitness finds you. You don't tend to find it, because fitness is for everyone, right? It's for everyone, but a career in it tends to. It's a bit like a bat signal. It just calls out to you, and you respond to that call. And I'm similar to yourself. I've been into fitness and weight training specifically for 17 years, but I've only been a certified personal trainer for 8 years now. When I look back, I was always doing it, really. I was always, even when I just work out with my friends, I would always be the person that's like, oh, let's do this next. And I'd love to study more about the human anatomy, physiology, what muscles, prime movers, how the body. And I guess it just fell on me one day. I went to train with a guy that I knew, and he just become a qualified personal trainer. I don't think he is now. And he did a similar thing. He just sort of qualified quickly. And I went to train with him. And and I ended up telling him something. I ended up teaching him about something, and he said to me in passing, he went, oh, you know your stuff. You should consider being a personal trainer. The rest is history. That literally ignited something in me, and 2 years later, that's exactly what I did. So it sounds like, same as you, Samantha, it just kind of falls on you. So how old is your daughter now? It's Blakely, yeah?
Yeah, my daughter is Blakely. She's a year and a half, so she's a
Oh,
busy little bee for sure.
and so was you already uh, certified as a personal trainer before Blakely came along, and then it
Yeah,
shook things up, or yeah?
so very similar to you, I think this marked actually my 10 year of being a personal trainer. So I was taking my first year of schooling post high school, and I that's when I took my certification and have basically kept up with that. I did go get a university degree. Wasn't really into it. Loved the personal trainer. Kept going with it. Yeah, and then after I had her, obviously tweaked to cater a little bit more to the busy moms. Wrote a few ebooks based around the first trimester, third trimester, all the way to the fourth trimester. Yeah, so it has been a really good change and progression with having her.
I wanted to just caught what you said there about the trimesters, and the reason why I sort of want to pause there on that topic is because just yesterday, in fact, it was today, I got a message from one of my members, and it turns out she's pregnant. And we were discussing about what would happen now, because she panicked a little bit, like, what do we do with my fitness now? Weight loss is certainly not a goal anymore. And I sort of said to her, well, you can. You still focus on general fitness here, and not only help with the pregnancy itself, but minimize I don't want to say damage control, but by the time that you've given birth, it was going to help strengthen, say, the core muscles that are going to be stretched during that situation. But also mental health, nutrition is something you can still very much work on, and is actually very highly recommended. So, based on your experience there, Samantha, talk us through sort of what your suggestion would be from going from being pregnant, and let's say you're not trying to lose weight, but you're on a fitness journey. What would your suggestion be for someone who is about to go on that journey, and how you would incorporate what your suggestions would be for fitness, basically?
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, every pregnancy is different. Mine was really hard. It was, I think, a huge part for me mentally was I just physically couldn't do as much as what I thought I could do. But saying that, being active throughout the full time was like my saving grace. Like it helped me get through it so much. It made the actual birthing part a lot easier than I would guess that it probably would have been. So I did keep active throughout the full time. I worked out after my due date even. I think she was born on a Friday. I don't know if I worked out that day, but the day before I walked. I, I kept active during the full time, and it was really helpful. Yes, mental health is huge, and afterwards too. Yeah, I wasn't hitting PRs. I wasn't looking at losing weight. Honestly, sometimes it was more just getting out and getting that movement in, and yeah, keeping a strong core. I did a lot of core work, a lot of exercises there, mobility work, and I did the same thing postpartum as well. I know I went to the gym and I was just chatting with someone 3 weeks after. And I know they say, like, wait the 6 weeks, but I didn't go to the gym 3 weeks after to hit my PRs. I literally went to get out of the house for my mental health. And I think I hit 4 machines, put the lightest weight, and did the movement. And it felt amazing. So it doesn't have to be like what our standards or what we think
Yeah.
exercise could be, but yeah, I highly recommend it to anyone. And as for specific exercises, I did a lot of like dead bug, bird dog style stuff, keeping planked. I did a decent amount of planking, keeping that back flat, core engaged. But yeah, I highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, because like I've said to people, I know when you mention plank, I could understand particularly. second into third trimester why people would consider avoiding a plank for obvious reasons. But then I guess I've suggested people, you can do an incline plank up against the hard surface. It doesn't have to be parallel to the floor. You can support yourself. You can do box planks where your knees are involved as well, But I think the thing is, one of the most common, and I know you'll think the same, Samantha, is one of the most common problems that I deal with, not problems, but problems that clients come to me, particularly new mums, is lack of core strength. And I explained to them, well, it's obvious, you abdominal muscles have basically been stretched and ripped apart in order to bear childbirth. And what happens is a bit like you said, the first thing you should really do after is start working on your core strength pretty quickly to rebuild that abdominal wall. But I also understand who's got time for that when you've just given birth, so it's kind of bittersweet because, you've just given birth, you're a new mum, you're welcoming this child into the world, your focus is them. But what happens is that starts to then, I find, lead to lower back problems because the abdominals have been stretched and your pelvis has been tilted to bear childbirth, which is then cause some tight lower muscles on the back, and then of course, as we know, stretched weaker muscles in the abdominals, and that kind of then stays like that. So the biggest, I have one workout I've just given on my program, which is a core based workout, and the people who I post, I already see it coming, so I've post alternatives, which is because typically, in newer mums, it's that very overcurved spine that's usually because of what we just mentioned. So that when they do go to do core exercises, I get a lot of, my lower back hurts, it pulls my lower back. So I guess, what would you recommend to help prevent that? Is that something you suggest doing? So when we're going specifically into the trimesters, is there a staged approach you would suggest for someone? I guess there may not be many people listening to this that are about to have a baby, but perhaps in future they've had a child before, they've had that issue, they might get pregnant again, they might have another child. What if you was to give them advice now, looking back on your own personal journey as well? Bear in mind, obviously me and you, we're fitness professionals, we love fitness, so it's a bit easier for us. But if you're someone completely, unaware of exercise and physiology, what would you sort of suggest to them in a staged approach all the way up until basically giving birth?
Yeah, really great question. So I'll add a little bit from what I was just chatting about before. So yeah, there's tons of modifications. I always try to focus on what we can do versus what we can't do. Obviously, we're not going to be doing exercise where we're laying on our tummy. We got a big belly. No way. And the lower back, I will address that in a little bit as well. But I know too many moms that postpartum, they pee during exercise. I teach a class where it's called rebound boots, and you're basically jumping the full time, and that's my common thing. It is actually common, but not normal to be doing that. So I need to make sure I'm really careful with this and practice what I preach. So I did see extra support with a pelvic floor physiotherapist I saw before I had Blakely and after I had Blakely. And honestly, she was like, you're good from what I have been doing. It was nice to get that reassurance. Obviously, not everyone's going to be like that. You can get that additional support. But what I did throughout my programming was helpful. And did I have to do work after to make sure that wasn't the case? Absolutely. The biggest thing that I did postpartum, and this helps with like the lower back stuff, honestly, lying on my back in bed and belly breathing exercises, deep breathing. One, it calms you down, and you can do that with having your kiddo in your arms, or if they're sleeping in their bed, you can be doing that there. Just big, deep breathing, big belly exhale, and lower that core down and that belly down, and fully breathing on out. That's literally my staple. And making sure that you do have neutral spine during any of your exercise, standing, doing shoulder press. Now, when the belly is way out there, you're going to be pressed out. But as much as we can re-tilt those hips back as much as we can, and repetitions. And I know we always say about time, and busy moms don't have to, we always say we don't have time. I like to challenge people to change their perspective as well. So I was just on a call earlier today, and yeah, we might miss a cardio session, but we may have gone for a walk with their kiddo to the park. We've gone up and down the slide with them. Maybe they go and pick up a rock and show you the cool rock that they found, and you just did 3 squats there. Like, amazing. That's lifestyle. That's movement. So what, you didn't get a cardio exercise and you got that movement in and that quality time with your so I like to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So you might be having to do exercises while you're holding your kiddo. My Blakely, literally, she didn't want to be held. I know lots of them baby wrap their kiddos and will do different exercises then. My kiddo was contently on the ground. I was very fortunate. So, but yeah, progression wise, from semester or trimester 1, 2, and 3, as long as you're doing it previous to getting pregnant, I would introduce most of the exercises. If it's a new exercise, I wouldn't necessarily add it in. You could trial it super lightly, and honestly, your body is your deciding factor. I know postpartum, I did single leg cable kickbacks. It was 3 or 4 months postpartum, and I'm like, ooh, that hurts a little bit. And I'm like, I was doing heavy lifts at this point. Maybe not 3 or 4 months, maybe a little bit after that. But I modified that. I was like, that's too much for me. I need to modify that. So I really listened to my body with that. Anything laying down, of course, I don't really recommend that. Even laying on your back, I did probably for the first trimester or 2, and then I did more of an incline, changing things that way. And again, it's just that movement that is so important to have. Lower body work, mobility work, getting into that deep squat. Of course, there's specific exercises that you can do when baby comes, working with an exercise ball, doing some child's pose to help you prepare for giving birth. But yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. I sort of went on a rant there.
No, that's literally detailed exactly what I was asking, because I think, it's a long time. It's a long journey, and I think it can put people off their fitness journey a little bit because they just automatically think, oh, well, that's it. I'm going to be a mum now, not just during pregnancy, but straight after. The last thing they're thinking about for a lot of people, a lot of new mums listening to this and might be nodding, which is focusing on their fitness straight away. But as you said, Samantha, it's like lifestyle you mentioned before. Things like that. I've given advice like that before when it's talking about squats. You don't have to have a designated workout time. You can do stuff in your day-to-day life. I've said similar to yourself, but I feel when you, even postpartum, let's say you make formula, okay? Let's say, if you're not breastfeeding, perhaps you're making formula. Whilst you're waiting for it, do a few squats. or even, let's say, a bit further down the line, in your new mum journey, and perhaps you're just making food for yourself in between while the kid is napping. Whilst you're waiting for your food to cook or even the kettle to boil, lean up against the kitchen side, do a few push-ups. But I think people don't think about stuff like that. They kind of just go, no, I haven't got 20 minutes to half hour to cram a workout in. So they just give up completely. And I think I guess that's what you're saying now. It's like the more you prepare during this journey, and then it doesn't feel like such a blow after, once you've given birth, once you've got, settled down, you've recovered well, and now, here you go, you're a mum, you're ready to start working on your fitness. Now it doesn't feel like such an impact after 9 months, because you've already been doing little bits, building up to it. So I guess what you say is start prepping for your fitness plans early to make it easier for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like there's always going to be a time that you'll be like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it then. And you're always going to be busy. So we just got to figure out how to navigate, or I'll do it after this holiday. There's always going to be a thing. And something that's super funny that I thought of, as the kiddos get older, I saw a video of this. Every time the kiddo says mom, do a squat. And now sometimes that might be like Blakely's just starting to talk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am going to do this challenge one day. She's just starting to say it, so maybe down the road I'll try it like one day and see how many squats I do. And it's so true about the whole, like, you get 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes person can look at that, be like, I can't cram that in. What if we change that perspective and be like, what can I do in 20 minutes to be one
Yeah.
more step closer towards my goal? You get 20 minutes. It's not that you have to do a workout. You get that. What are you going to do to optimize that time? And cool, if you got that 20, like honestly, my first few workouts, maybe 5-10 minutes. Then I bumped it up. It wasn't this hour-long thing. It was literally that, or a few deep breaths. Oh, she's up from a nap. That's what I got in today. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to fast forward a little bit, because I guess a lot of people listening to this might be well past that stage where actually, they've had a child, maybe they've had a couple of children that are a little bit older now, and now it's at the stage where actually, they're, as a busy mum whose kids are talking, they are running around, now they're just struggling to find time to get back into their fitness. And that's a big factor that I get as well, which is time. Time and motivation are the usual two. Taking away lower back pain or anything like that. If we're just shifting on someone listening to this who goes, okay, Samantha, I'm a mum, I've got children, they're always needing me for something, I haven't even got the time or motivation to do it. So let's say we're a bit more further ahead in our journey as a parent. What would your tips be? What would your response be to someone asking that?
Yeah, for sure. So a few things I'll add to this. I am very fortunate and very lucky to have the support from a husband, grandparents that want to watch the kiddos that I will be able to leave to go to the gym. Or we have day home. She goes to day home a couple days a week. Well, now it's like 5 days a week. So I'm very fortunate that way. And I know not everyone has that. But even myself, running my business, my daughter, again, knock on wood, very lucky, but she does sleep until like 8 o'clock. But I get up and wake up before her. I do my morning meditation. I get a couple hours of work in before she gets up. Sometimes it's about changing that perspective again. We always say that us busy moms, we don't look after ourselves. But if we take that time to fill our cup up first, we are able to show up better. So that quality time that I have with myself and that self-love first thing in the morning is huge for me. So they all on the airplane, they say, put on your face mask first before you put on someone else's, because if you're not able to breathe, you're not able to help out. And that is huge. I know I show up so much better when I get that little bit of time. And it might be like, oh my gosh, I'm tired from the night before, but I know I'll have more energy if I do get up. So that might be waking up a little bit earlier, getting that workout in. Again, half an hour. Cool. That's awesome. Or if it's, so right now I'm actually preparing to compete in a bodybuilding show. And yesterday I was going to either practice posing in the evening, or I could do it with my daughter there. So she posed around with me, and I did a posing session, and she more spun in circles and played with her pink little paws. So like posing around that. So it looked a little bit different. But if I can show up good and do well in this environment, I know I will show up good in my other environment. So sometimes it might not look like your traditional get to the gym. It might look a little bit different, and that's okay. Doesn't mean that that's wrong. That's just that's your way, and it's gonna look different for everyone.
Yeah, just on that though, can you imagine if Arnold and all the classic bodybuilders at times started doing 12s when they were on stage? I'd prefer that rather than the generic poses. I'd prefer them to do cartwheels and 12s. Yeah. That's a bodybuilding or fitness modelling I could get behind, actually. I want to see more of that on fitness summits and bodybuilding stages. I want to see them doing little twirls and cartwheels.
Right? Yeah, that's what my daughter was doing, and every time she would be like, "Yay!" and cheer at every single thing and they're your biggest motivator. And monkey see, monkey do. When I teach class and we do a squat challenge, I'm like, okay, everyone go up, everyone go down. And then she's doing squats now too. I'm like, when did you learn that? But she saw it. So sometimes even, because I know kiddos watch when I do virtual classes. So I'm like to my daughter when we're doing it, I'm like, okay, reach to the sky. Okay, touch your toes. And then she's doing it too. She feels involved, and it's quality time. They're seeing you're being that role model, and you're getting movement in. It's a win-win-win.
And it's introducing fitness very early as well, and showing, like you said, eyes are on you at that stage. Like everything you do sets an example. And I feel like associating exercise specifically as fun early on. And it's not only is it bonding time from a parent to a child, but it also from their own health as well. They're seeing that early doors that fitness exercise can actually be fun. So that setting them up for their health and fitness into as they grow up, rather than, I hated PE. Okay, at school, physical education, I hated it. I'm quite surprised what I do for a career when I think back, and that's mainly because my mum wasn't into fitness herself. So I mainly spent my childhood in front of my PlayStation. Okay, so that by the time I got into physical education at school, plus I'm asthmatic, and I live in northern England, which is cold. I'm sure you know about that a lot, but here it's like, well, I'm asthmatic. The last thing I want to do is run around. So I generally wasn't that into fitness all throughout childhood and into adolescence. It wasn't until I got to 16, 17 where I started to go, where I first introduced myself to fitness, more specifically weight training, that I was like, whoa, this is good. And now, I like tennis, I like all fitness, cardio, walking, all that stuff. So I got into it a bit later throughout my adult life, but I do stop and think like, wow, imagine if when I was younger, my mum was showing me exercise and making it a big deal, making it fun, and got me active younger. What could have been? I could have been doing cartwheels at bodybuilding. I could have got into that early if my genetics let me.
Yeah, of course, that's so true. And everyone's going to have a different upbringing. And I know even sharing not just the exercise, but the workouts too. The nutrition is what I was going to say. My daughter, and not many kids like water. My daughter loves water, but I have my water bottle literally by me all the time. And sometimes when I shake it, if I have a supplement company, or a supplement in there, she will like shake her water. And the other day she was eating a cucumber, and it was just like the most like amazing thing ever. I'm like, how are you eating a vegetable right now? You're a kid, but that's what I do. So yeah. I'm like, yeah, very interesting, different upbringings. I know I went to school for like physiotherapy, and I worked in the hospitals, and I saw where people were at not living a healthy lifestyle. And I'm like, I want to be part of the preventative movement. So that is hugely my passion. And of course, that includes making sure that you're showing your kiddos the proper way. By you being that role model, your kids will do the same thing with growing up. And yeah. That's what I'm all about.
I mean, obviously my audience and yourself know by now that I had brain surgery, and I think the thing for me, I recovered so quickly, but I saw it with my own eyes, just going back to the preventative, and I really did see, you used the word lucky before, I'm using it now. I was very lucky with my procedure, but one thing that really stuck to me when I was on the hospital ward post-surgery with the other men, I was looking around and I could see how much everyone was struggling. And bear in mind, everyone's situation is different, but we'd all had the same procedure. No matter what the variations were, one thing that really stood out to me is the big elephant in the room here was that I was fitter and healthier. So I was up and about the next day, and I literally just walked myself down to the MRI. I didn't even need wheeling down. And I remember lying there thinking, even though my brain was I remember thinking, this is what fitness does. This is what preventative fitness does. And I'm looking at the other men on my ward who, you could tell they weren't healthy. Some of them were asking for oxygen because perhaps they were smokers. You could tell the nutrition plays a massive part. And I remember seeing it with my own eyes, and it stuck with me to this day. This is what fitness is really about. It's not always about visual. I know we're talking about bodybuilding and fitness modeling and stuff. In our world, because we love fitness, this is what we do. Aesthetics is definitely something we focus on. But I think like when situations like that happen, I was so lucky that had I have not been physically fit, had I not been through this career at that point, I could, and as an asthmatic, which I mentioned before, I could have been in big trouble after that surgery. I could have really struggled. And they just discharged me the next day. They were like, oh, go home. And I'm just bouncing around like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good. My recovery wasn't as great. But the point was, I knew it then, and looking back now, I know it now. That was humbling for me to remind myself why I do what I do and why fitness is so important. It's not just about, and that's to the listeners as well, touching back on parents, it's not just about weight loss and looking and feeling good, but the other benefits that come with it. Fitness will have a knock-on effect as a parent, because if you're physically fit, and I'm sure Samantha, especially after, when kids start walking around and that turns into running, that turns into being little nightmares and running about and bashing into your legs and you've got to keep up. So you need that physical fitness, not just about aesthetics and what you can see, but you need to be fit. I like what you mentioned before about filling your cup up first. You look after your physical fitness to keep up with your children. Not only is it a good look for them, but physically, you need to keep up. Otherwise, they'll run round circles with you. That was my little input on that.
Yeah, 100%, and so true, and great testimony for yourself, and it does show that, and I believe that you were able to get up so much more quicker. I know, like literally, I just had Blakely, and they ask you to get up and walk to the washroom, so I did. They held my hand, but they wanted a pee sample. So I was like, okay. And then I forgot that they wanted it, and it already started going. I'm like, shoot, you wanted it. So I was able to do a Kegel. Sorry, TMI for some of us, but it was just so interesting. I'm like, did I just do that? Like, I shocked myself that I was able to do that. I was like, oh, I was really proud of myself, because I'm like, you put in the hard work. And yeah, it is like some of us may say that we're lucky, but we do put in that hard work, is that delayed gratification that we can see so much success afterwards. You're able to get home faster after, and that's so important. And yeah, mimicking for kiddos, I had one client, she hung upside down on the monkey bars, and she's like, I would never have been able to do this before starting my health and fitness journey. Not only is it a physically anything, a little bit, yeah, but it's more like that interaction with the kiddos, being able to be there. I go to the park and I'm there with my kiddo interacting, versus sitting down watching her be at the park. We just had basketball last week, and then we were running around together, and it's the quality time is huge, and that's hugely what I get when clients come to me and they're like, want to lose weight. I'm like, well, why? What's the reasoning?
Yeah.
And majority of the time for us moms, it's we want to have those memories with our kids. If we're not able to do the things and we miss out on life, that's huge, more than the number on this scale. And that's hugely why I love doing what I do, why I share my passion as well.
But even if the answer is, well, number on a scale, I want to lose weight. Let's say it is more personal. It's like I want to feel more confident in myself. I think the answer, the core of that, still stems back to why. Okay, well, why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to look and feel better? Because even though they might think it's for themselves, because they've had children and they want to get back to that pre-baby weight or body, I think if you kept asking why and really got to the core of the reasoning, it would still come back to the fact of, because I'm a mum now and it's for them. Children become the number one priority. Yes, and I think it ties back to what we were talking about before. You still have to fill your cup up so that you can then overflow and help others. So even I think if I've got, you were a mum listening to this, and perhaps your kids are a little bit older now, you've gone through that stage, and now you've still got that baby weight, let's say, and you're trying to get back to that pre-child body, and that's absolutely fine. I get that a lot. Particularly here in the UK, that's the most common. But I think if I ask why enough, it still always stems down to who you're really doing it for. And I think it always comes down to the moment you become a mum, it is about the children. And even if it's about yourself, I think it's about setting the image. We mentioned before, children are always watching. They're always watching and hanging off everything you do. So your attitude towards your health, your self-preservation, let's say, it will have a knock-on effect of how they see you, and then how they see their health and fitness and their body confidence in their future.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, typically it is clients come wanting to lose that 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, whatever that may be, and digging down to that core reasoning is typically your kids or your future generation or your family, your significant other, and spending quality time with them. And yeah, that's something hugely what I advocate for, and that I think is so important for myself as well.
Absolutely. So let's get back to you a little bit then, Samantha. So what you obviously your daughter is getting, is she speaking now? Is she saying words and full sentences, or it's still just the odd mum sort of words now?
Yeah, she's starting to talk a little bit. There's definitely, we get mommy, daddy, puppy, water is wawa. So, and she's like, it's like saying so many things, but we don't really know what it is. And if it's similar to wawa, I'm like, okay, do you mean this? And we're still in the guessing. And sometimes if we're not right, she gets a little frustrated. So we're in that phase right now. And I know the other day she was pointing and she was saying something. And I'm like, are you looking at this? Are you looking at this? Like, we had no idea. I'm like, I am so sorry. So
that creeped me out if she's just pointing at nothing, because she can see something that we can't see.
Well, there could be that too. I'm like, who are you looking at? Who's there? Like, yeah. But.
And I mean, so, and how are you finding it now? Obviously, we're over a year past that stage. obviously you're training yourself to get back into the bodybuilding side of things. So how are you finding the journey now between obviously being a mom, because you was obviously into fitness for a while before this is more recent to you. How are you finding that adaptation of the fitness that you've loved for ages, and obviously now you have someone else that's you're doing it for?
Yeah, of course. So, as I'm transitioning, I like to have extreme goals. Like, let's just 10x this goal. Well, what can I do more of? I like to challenge myself. I like to have
Same.
that challenge.
Yeah.
So, postpartum, last November, my husband and I got married in Mexico. We had a destination wedding, so that I had a goal weight in mind, and I kept it very chill. I had every 3 months, I think I wanted to lose 5 pounds, like very sustainable, I did not, and I kept it as, if I gonna track, I'll track if I need to, but I did it intuitively just to test it out. And I was able to get down, fit in my dress where I was happy with and I was proud of. And then, yeah, now I'm pushing towards competing in a bodybuilding show. I have a local show here in Alberta, and then I actually have my WNBF Pro card, so I qualify for Worlds this year. So after I compete in my show locally, I will be heading down to the States to compete in Worlds in November. So that's my big personal fitness challenge at this time. And being on prep as a busy mom, it's a full other thing. It's like that next level that we're looking at, but I still prioritize that quality time with her. Like, if I'd weigh, I'm like, okay, I can do a cardio session, or I'm walking to the park and playing in the park with her. I will do that any day. If I end up needing a little bit of extra steps, I'll do it after I go to sleep or after she goes to sleep. So, yeah, a little bit different of a goal. And I know not all my clients push to this far of an extreme, but I still, same principles pretty much, that I still pride on and that I still advocate for clients as well.
It's so funny, isn't it? I mean, the two worlds are so, like, I'm still that old school mentality of the bulking, cutting, prep, stage ready things. Like, I haven't been on stage and done fitness modeling myself, but I've trained people to do it. But I've gone through phases. I had a destination wedding the same. Mine was in Cyprus. I was the same. So that whole build up to that phase, there was always a goal. And I'm classic, old school fitness prep with, bulking and cutting season. And if there's something, the stages that I go through, and there'll be a lot of people listening that are thinking, to hell with that. I just want to lose weight. I just want to get fit and stay fit. So to them, it's a bit of a foreign language when I'm like, I'll have clients at my gym that will be, oh, you're trimming down a little bit. I'm like, well, yeah, it's summer. It's prep season. it's ab season. Or the same in winter. It's like, oh, you're gaining a bit of weight. I'm like, well, yeah, it's winter. But it's bulking phase. And people think I'm mad because the clientele that I work with, they want to get in shape and stay there. Like, that's their goal. But I think, like you said before, people listening to this, clients, they don't have to go to the extreme we do. We are a bit more old school. We understand the aesthetics, but just how the art, I want to say, of building muscle and fit the human physique behind bodybuilding, because you have to love it. You have to love it, I think, and I'm sure you agree. Like, when it comes to going that far, where you're looking at food as fuel, and that's all you're looking at. You're looking at a plate of food, and you're literally all you're seeing is macros and percentages. I've often joked to people that I know plenty of bodybuilders that have blended chicken and drank it, and people are like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, but that's the game. They've got to get that protein in," and they literally can't. There's too much fiber to break it down. They're going to go straight down. They've got to get that protein in. But for, in the fitness modeling and bodybuilding world, that's how it is. It's an art. It's part of the situation. But I think, like you said, even for people listening to this that aren't into that extreme. It's not extreme, but they're not into that lifestyle. I think, like you said, the same principles apply. Have a goal. Same with holidays. We're in the summer right now. May not feel like it in our countries, but there might be people listening who have a little bit more better seasonals countries. It's the same thing, if you're going to have a holiday, enjoy the holiday. Guess what? Get a plan to enjoy your holiday. You're probably going to gain a bit of weight. You're probably going to be off track a little bit, but then what are you going to do after? Plan the next thing to work towards. And I think that if people don't panic over the ups and downs, because weight loss or fat loss, let's say, isn't linear. It's always going to be up and down. And I think people try and fight that too much. They're like, no, I just want to lose weight and stay there. And I always ask the same thing. And then what? Or you mentioned before about people wanting to lose 10 to 15 pounds as their initial goal. And I will say that to anyone who's listening to this, or any client who asks me, when I ask a new client, what's your goal? I want to lose, 14 pounds. And I will respond, okay, then what? And Sam, they don't know how to answer. They do not know how to, because they don't think that far ahead. They just focus solely on a number on a machine, which is the worst idea in my mind anyway. It's such a linear, dated method. Why we're fixating on a number on a machine, which only you and that machine know, when I think the goal should be far more focused on other things. How you feel, clothes, what you see in the mirror, if you want to go with that. So yeah, I'd agree with what you say there, Sam. I think no matter whether it's prepping for a bodybuilding show or whether it's just wanting to look good for a holiday, there always needs to be a goal, and I think that you need to accept there's going to be off seasons and on seasons, no matter what that is.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and this could open a can of worms as well, but I actually do like an 80-20 rule approach. Sometimes on prep, it's more 90-10, I'd say. But I still go out and enjoy foods too, as long as it fits within my macros, and I like to educate my clients on that. And I can delve further into that, but if we don't have time, that's okay too. Yeah. But my first show that I did strict. I did 100%, and I did have a really bad yo-yo after. I did do a binge after. The second prep I did the 80-20 rule. So I did 80% of the time healthy whole foods, 20% I enjoyed my treat foods. Yes, it was still within my calories and macros. And after the show, they're like, what do you want to eat? I'm like, I don't know, because I've been having it all this whole time. And I still lost weight either way. Same thing going here. My start, I'm down 15 pounds from my start. And that's significant for me. And my abs are showing through. I have cuts showing through. Like, it is there, and I'm still enjoying it. And say, like last night, there was a local burger place here in our town, or in Canada. They had a fundraiser for multiple sclerosis. Anytime you would purchase a burger, you would donate. So I'm like, let's participate. So I plugged in my FitnessPal, my burger that I was going to have, made it all balanced throughout the rest of the day. And that's what I had for supper. And my whole family enjoyed that. So I still don't miss out 100% on the food as well. Am I a little bit more stricter? Absolutely. But there's still, I don't think there's a need to miss out completely on that as well.
Yeah, because you have to enjoy the process. And I think people focus far too much on restrict, stop eating this. People like to follow rules. Whereas I feel like there needs to be a balance of, I think 80-20, or even not as extreme as 80-20. If you are new to this, or you've been out of the fitness game for a while, even starting off at 60-40, 70-30, just making a slight change, gradually reducing the bad habits, cutting down. I always say to my audience, never cut down. And I always get people going, no, I'm all or nothing. I either stop, and I'm like, no, you're not. Humans aren't designed like that. We're habitual creatures. You can't just stop eating pizza and cookies and all of a sudden think you're going to stick with that. There is going to be a little voice in your head that goes, pizza. I've never wanted pizza more in my life. How about just start making slight reductions, and then start adding some healthier habits until that switches, and then suddenly now we're getting results, and we can go up the ante a bit and go to 80-20 when we're a bit more on the game, and we're especially if it's like you say, or like in our cases where we got married abroad, so that the goals are a bit more. There's a lot riding on that. Now, mine was very superficial, but you will understand this. But I knew my friends were going to be there as I got married on a beach. It was a beach holiday. I knew my friends knew what I did for a living. I knew I couldn't be there without abs in front of my friends for photos when they know what I do for a living. It's very superficial, quite shallow, but it worked. That was the best shape I've been in my life because I had that goal.
Oh, 100%. I know at our wedding we had a lot of gym buff goers, so we were like, yeah, we all got to look good. So yeah, and if that's your why, absolutely, that works. Yeah.
So what's next for you then, Samantha? Like in your journey, obviously now you've had your child. Obviously you're still a parent. That's going to go. Obviously you got your bodybuilding, which I wish you good luck on. What's the future looking like as far as your career? How are things going with that, with SKFitness, and what are your sort of plans going forward?
Yeah, so there's always future planning, future goal setting. The biggest one that we've been working on is our international retreats. We host retreats that focuses on what we talked about, but a lot of that mindset work. We do a lot of sessions like brain work. Let's work through these processes. So we host retreats. I do a local one in the mountains here, and then we're actually doing one in Nicaragua next year. I would love to host them yearly internationally. I think that would be amazing. So that's hugely what I'm focusing on, and just, helping out as many people as possible. And after this bodybuilding show physically, we'll see how it goes. I have a few things in mind what I want to do. But I'm very career orientated. So we got some career goals that I want to hit first.
Awesome. Same. So where can people listen to this, go and give you a follow, check out your work, social media, etc.? Where's the best place to sort of find you so people want to check you out a little bit more?
Yeah, so Instagram is Sam_SKFitness, and pretty much everywhere else is SKFitness, Facebook, my website, and that would send me a message if you have any questions, and I am happy to help out. If someone wanted access to my ebook, just let me know, and we can get that for you as well.
Awesome. And I will, if you're listening to this, guys, I will be posting the link to that in the description. So if you hit the show notes, you'll be able to find that and go and check out Sam's ebook and all the other stuff. And if you find yourself over in Canada, it might be worth checking out, getting in touch, go to one of these retreats.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Sam, it was fantastic speaking to you. I think that was a great chat, and hopefully people took some value from that, particularly because that's the people that we both have the same common goal there, which is the people we work with, usually mums, and I'm hoping that was a very useful conversation for a lot of the listeners. It certainly would have been for the ladies in my group. There's a couple of people who are in watching have not had any questions, but it will be on the Facebook group very soon, guys, so if you're watching. But is it okay, Sam, if people ask questions, if they're watching this back, if I can just send them over to you or get them to reach out to you directly and you can answer them?
Yeah, of course. That works. I am happy to help out.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on, and I wish you good luck with the comp. I know, how long have you got till it starts?
I am 9 and 13 weeks out.
Okay, in our world, guys, that means very close. So I can already imagine how strict you're starting to get now. We're not at blending chicken and drinking it level, but we're certainly the carbs will start dropping down soon before they start then shooting back up, ready for the actual getting on stage, and then the refeed phase.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was great chatting in the space.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Sam. All the best, and look forward to hearing from you again.
Thanks so much.